All right. Well, I think we got everything. Jerry, we looking? All right. Sorry, we're trying something new here. Good afternoon. My name is Cliff Horn. I'm a public information officer at TRSL. And today we are going to be going over our workshop called Retirement Ready. I just want to give you a couple of friendly reminders about today's presentation. It is a general guide. The slides you're going to see here today are going to be covering some of the basics of the material on this. For more information, we'd always recommend going to TRSL's website at, and I'm going to say it a lot, trsl.org. All of you are going to be muted, so you won't have to worry about any interruptions for anything. We do ask, as we go throughout the presentation, we have a question and answer box. And you'll also see a chat box. You can't add anything into the chat. That's for us to send out information to you. We'll be sending you links to handouts or brochures or forms as we go throughout today's presentation. If you have a question, we'd ask that you type those questions into the Q&A section where we'll be able to see them. And with me today in the background is Miss Jerry Mack. Jerry will be moderating us in the background, answering some questions as we go, and posting some material for you to have later. We are recording today's workshop, so it will be available for you to rewatch at any time from our website at trsl.org. In there, you'll be able to get the handout. So it's a printout of today's slides, as well as the video recording itself. It's on there. If you have a question, you can type it in the questions, but if it's something specific about your specific retirement date or dollar amount or anything that's a personal information to you, we won't be able to look you up in the system in today's workshop. So we'd ask that you send any of those questions to our webmaster, and the email address or the location to send those questions is simply go to our website, asktrsl.org. From there, you'll be able to type in your information and a little chat box where you'll type in your questions that you have and then send it over to us. Our webmaster will be able to look at those questions and answer them. Normally, they take about 2 hours in order to get those questions back to you. Because we are at the end of our day, it may be tomorrow before they answer any questions that you send over to the Ask TRSL. Let's go ahead and jump into what we're going to cover today. We'll be talking about the types of retirement plans, how our retirement is funded and how we do our math, our calculations, the retirement eligibility, when can you retire, at what age and what time frame, the options of your retirement. We'll also talk a little bit about purchases and transfers of service credit, any leave credit that you may have, and that's sick leave or annual, what happens to it. We'll talk about the different types of retirement that are offered, and there are actually 5 different retirements that are available for you. We'll talk about the retirement application process itself. We'll talk about some tax liabilities, community property, and Social Security offsets when it comes to receiving a TRSL benefit. So let's start with the types of retirement plans that we have here at TRSL. There are actually 3 types. We're only going to cover 2 of them today, the regular plan and Plan B. The third program is for our higher education college professors in the U.S. or the universities or community colleges, and that is the ORP program. That's a separate program that we talk about. That webinar is available online if you'd like to take a look at it. trsl.org is where you can find it. But the 2 that we're going to talk about are the regular plan and Plan B. Regular plan, that's probably 98% of you or 99% of you here today. That's our teachers, admin, support staff, even some of our university personnel who are not in the ORP program. The other group that's here today may be our Plan B members, and those are school food service employees in 20 parishes. They contribute to TRSL as well as take a deduction into Social Security. And there's only 20 parishes of those. There's not a huge number of employees that fit that category. So I'm willing to bet that all of you that are here today probably fall under our regular plan if I had to look you up in the system to see. So most of what we're going to cover today is going to be in that regular plan. So how do we fund this benefit? Now, just so you know, we are a defined benefit plan. We are not a contribution plan. A contribution plan is like a 401 or an IRA. we are based on a math formula. Now, how do we fund it? No, hopefully you've noticed 8% comes out of your paycheck. Every pay period, we take out 8%. If you're in Plan B, our food service workers, it's 5%, where you pay that money into the system. Your employer also pays anywhere from 24 to 27% when it comes to depending on which type of agency they are. We, the retirement system itself, take all those funds, pool them together, and we invest them in our investment portfolio. We have over $25 billion. I think we're coming close to $27 billion. We looked at it this morning in the investment portfolio. That is what we use. The return on those investments is what we use to give you your benefit. And this is a lifetime benefit. You get this amount when you retire every month for the rest of your life. It is not based on contributions you've put into the system. It is based on a formula. So what is that formula? Well, we calculate your retirement benefit based on three factors. That is service credit, how much time you have in the system and that you've paid into TRSL. We multiply that by your FAC, final average compensation. That's a fancy way of saying, well, what's your monthly average salary? It is either going to be a 3-year average or a 5-year average. If you started working for TRSL after 2011, it's a 5-year average. Anybody before that, it's a 3-year average. And it's based on your 3 highest consecutive years or your 5 highest if you came in like I did after 2011. Those two things are then multiplied by the benefit factor. The benefit factor is a number set by the state. We didn't set it. The legislative body, when they created us, set these numbers. The benefit factor is either 2 or 2.5%. So those 3 things are multiplied together to give you your maximum TRSL benefit. That is the most money that we can pay out as a benefit to you every month for the rest of your life. When are you eligible to retire? That's really the big question that most of you came in to look at to see. And you're like, Cliff, if you tell that to me now, we could win this workshop super early. Well, we're going to give you this plus some other information. Depending on when you started working for TRSL or covered under a TRSL position, makes you eligible for different eligibilities. If you started before July 1st, 1999, you have 5 eligibilities in order to retire. And that is meeting an age requirement and an amount of service credit. Based on that, makes you eligible to retire. And then we use that formula, service credit times salary average times 2 or 2.5% to give you your benefit. For those of you in this group, it is age 60 with 5 years or any age with 20 years of service, makes you eligible to retire, but at 2%. That's where we get that benefit factor. In order to get to the 2.5, you have to be at least age 65 with 20 years of service, at least age 55 with 25 years of service, or any age with 30 years of service makes you eligible for your retirement, and it would be eligible at the 2.5% mark. You must meet those requirements of both of those, of the age and the service credit, in order to be eligible to retire. You do not have to retire exactly on that date. You can go over, but we have to meet both of those requirements, or I refer to it as check both of the boxes of an age requirement and an amount of service credit. You could be age 55 with 27 years of service credit and be eligible to retire. You could be, age 73 with 30 years of service. You've met both requirements. You're eligible to retire. This is for our first group who came in prior to July 1st, 1999. If you came in and started work after that, between July 1st, 99 and December 31st, 2010, we're now looking at 4 eligibilities. We've made some changes to the system. It's now age 60 with 5 years, age 55 with 25, any age with 20, and then any age with 30. All of those will now at the 2.5% mark. We've eliminated the 2% mark in the category. But when they did, they got rid of age 65, and they also changed the 20 years at any age is now actuarially reduced. And what that means is if you have 20 years and you are age 55, then you are 5 years away from a normal retirement age of age 60. So there is going to be a reduction of 5 years. There's a formula that they use, a percentage, to reduce the retirement benefit based on the number of years you are away from the normal retirement age. This is for a group from July 1st, 1999 till December 31st, 2010. And then they made changes to the system again. They said, well, any new members coming in from January 1st, 2011 till 6/30/2015, you now have only two eligibilities, age 60 with 5 years and any age with 20 years of service. Again, actuarially reduced based on being up to age 60. All of those would be at 2.5. And then our newer members who started on or after July 1st, 2015, it is now changed, still two eligibilities, but now we've changed it instead of age 60, it is now age 62 is the requirement to be eligible to retire. So any age at 20, actuarially reduced up to the age of 62, or age 62 with at least 5 years. Those are your eligibilities to retire for that group. Now, this is for when you started employment, not for the date you're retiring. So don't think all of you who are active members now have to retire at 62 with 5 or any age of 20 reduced again. Nope. If you started work in the older group, started making contributions, you're in the first program or the second or the third or the fourth, depending on when you started employment. Now, when you get ready to retire itself, there are actually 8 different options for you to choose from when you get ready to retire. You're going to fill out some paperwork, which we'll talk about in a little bit. You'll choose the option you want. Each option is a lifetime benefit, meaning you're going to get a check every month for the rest of your life. But by choosing a different option, you may make some changes to how either a estate or a beneficiary would receive a benefit. You can make your decision on this all the way up until you really retire, until you cash your first retirement check. After that, it is locked in. We cannot change it for any reason. So let's take a few moments to look at those 8 options. If you want, they are in the member handbook, which I think Jerry may have already dropped. It is page 11 of the member handbook, in case you're wondering, or if you want to follow along. We'll start with the maximum option. Maximum is the most that we can pay out based on that formula. Years of service times the salary average times 2 or 2.5%. You receive that amount every month for the rest of your life. And then when you pass away, if there are any funds left of your contributions, they will go to your estate. It does not list a beneficiary, and they only get whatever is remaining of your contributions. You yourself get a lifetime benefit, that amount every month for the rest of your life. It will never go down. You'll never zero out your account for you. But when you pass away, you may zero out the contributions that go out to the estate. The next option is called option 1. Option 1 allows you to list one or multiple people as beneficiaries. They can be family, friends, neighbors, coworkers, the person you sit next to in choir, whoever you'd like it to be. This is the only option where you may change this group at any time. I want to add a new grandbaby into the list. I want to take the neighbor off of my list. You may change this at any time. Beginning of your retirement, into your retirement, way past 10 years into your retirement, you can make these changes to add or remove anyone off of this list. You receive a slightly less amount than the maximum. And then you get that every month for the rest of your life. Again, does not end for you. And then when you pass away, anything remaining goes to those people that you have listed. These are, they get whatever is remaining of the contributions. If you've gone and lived 90 years into your retirement and exhausted all your contributions and pass away, that means there's nothing left to leave to those group of people. But if you 6 months into your retirement pass away, then whatever's remaining of your contributions goes to those people as a lump sum payment. This is not a lifetime check. If you wanted to do a lifetime check, we have to look at some other options. And those are options 2, 3, and 4. These are lifetime benefits for you and for one person because it's based on life expectancy. If you select someone like your spouse and you two are close to the same age, then the reduction between the maximum and option 2, not going to be that big of a jump. If you select someone, let's say your 3-year-old granddaughter as the beneficiary, because she's a whole lot younger than you are, that means your dollar amount for these options is going to be lower because we have to pay out over 2 lifetimes and they're going to be rather long. Option 2, I call this one the same amount. You receive this amount based on that life expectancy every month for the rest of your life. And then when you pass away, your beneficiary, that one person, also receives the same amount every month for the rest of their life. Does not matter about contributions. It is a lifetime benefit for you and then a lifetime benefit for them. Option 3, I call this one the half. And the reason why is you get a little bit more money than what is in option 2. You get that up front every month for the rest of your life. And then when you pass away, the beneficiary, that one person you have listed in there, receives exactly half of that amount every month for the rest of their life. And then option 4, I call this one the seesaw or the scale. You're going to tell us how much you want to leave this person. If you want to leave them just $200, that means you've set their end down low. That means yours can be high. If you want to say, well, I want to set theirs at $1,000, that means theirs comes up. It means yours has to come down a little to balance these things out. You set the amount that they receive, and based on that, we get you a dollar amount. You get that every month for the rest of your life. And then when you pass away, that beneficiary receives whatever amount you set for them at the time that you went into retirement. Some of you are using your spouse as the beneficiary. Well, what happens if my spouse passes away before I do? Can I add anybody new to replace them once I've retired? The answer is no, you can't. You cannot change the beneficiary once you've locked in your retirement option and retired. We cannot change it for any reason, and that includes death. So these options, if that happened in option 2, you'd receive that amount every month for the rest of your life. If they passed away, you get the same amount. Nothing changes for you every month for the rest of your life. Same thing for option 3 and option 4. But they also made some changes and they added some other options. Options 2A, 3A, and 4A are also available to you. They work just like their counterpart. 2A is the same option, same amount. 3A is the half. 4A is that balancing seesaw. The difference is in these options, they're a little bit less money than option 2 or a little less than 3, a little less than 4. The actual options. But what they do is if your beneficiary passes away before you do, you are going to move or pop up to the maximum. And then you receive the maximum every month for the rest of your life because you have lost your beneficiary. This option has to be selected at the time that you go into your retirement. You can't come back to Jerry or myself 3 months into your retirement and say, my husband Earl's got this cough I'm worried about. Can we switch from 2 to 2A? We can't do that. You must make that choice at the time that you're making your retirement selection. When it comes to your retirement, there also may be some things that you have outside of TRSL. Some of those things you can bring into teacher's retirement, and that is refunded service credit. That's time that you've had with TRSL. You left the system and took a refund of your money thinking I'm never coming back, and you did. So now you want to put that time back into the system. You also can look at time from other locations. That would be private schools or charter schools here in Louisiana, or public schools in other states. You could also move that time over. Or if you had time with another state agency, you were covered under lasers or ELSERs or firefighters or whoever else it may be under a state agency. Those are called actuarial transfers, moving that time over to us. Or If you have enough time in those other agencies to receive a retirement benefit, but you want us to acknowledge the effort that you've put in, you can do what's called a reciprocal recognition of service credit. I call it a handshake between us and, let's say, lasers. We acknowledge that you've got the 10 years with them, and we use that to use towards your eligibility for your retirement. The last one that's on here is military service. If you have military service time that you're not collecting a retirement benefit on, or not eligible to receive a benefit on for a military retirement, and you want to move 4 years of your military service, up to 4 years, over to TRSL, you can. But there are some caveats to that. In order to move 4 years over, you have to have 20 years in TRSL. And then when you move those over, you automatically get bumped up to 24 years of service. In all of these refunds, purchases, recognitions, all military services, all of these have cost involved in those. And we have to figure out what that cost is going to be. You'll fill out a couple of forms if you're interested in moving, let's say, public school from Texas over to us. You'll fill out a form, and then there's a $200 fee that goes to an actuarial accountant. They will do a calculation and tell you, if you want to move those 3 years from Texas over to us, here's what it's going to cost. And then you'd have to purchase that time in order to move it over to be eligible to count towards TRSL service credit. Some of you have a large amount of sick leave. Jerry and I were looking at ours the other day. Jerry has quite a bit. I also have quite a bit of leave. Well, what happens to that sick leave once you have retired? You remember the old phrase, you either use it or lose it? Well, that's not quite the case when it comes to us. Your sick leave can be used after you've met your eligibility to retire. We can't use it to get you up to retirement eligibility, but we can add on to it after you've met the requirements. We will convert for you. What's going to happen is your employer, once you get ready to retire, is going to pay you for 25 days of any unused sick leave that you have at your current day rate of pay, whatever that may be. They'll pay you for that, and then the rest of your time is then sent to us. We will take it, and we will be able to convert up to 1 year of service credit for you, or 1 year of sick leave to convert into 1 year of service credit. As a 9-month employee, that is a 180 days converts to a year. As a 12-month employee, that is 240 days. 220 for a 10-month employee, 11-month employee, and then 200 for a 10-month employee. If you're like me and you have more than that time in there, what happens to the remainder of that sick leave? I've converted 180 days and I've got some left over. Well, can I do that, convert that as well? The answer is yes, but you have to convert any sick leave over that 1 year at a cost. In other words, you would have to purchase it to move it over into our retirement system, into service credit. We cannot do it without a cost involved in that. Also, for those of you who are 12-month employees who receive annual leave, your vacation days, what happens to those? Your employer is going to pay you for 300 hours of your vacation days, 37 and a half days, at whatever your normal day rate is. Anything over that time, you may take the remainder of that annual leave and convert it into service credit, but it will be at a cost, meaning you would have to buy it. Immediately, some of you were probably writing in the Q&A section, how much does it cost? It varies for everyone. On the day that you retire, that is when we can lock in what that cost is going to be. I don't even know because it's based on your salary on the day you terminate your employment. So we can't even do those calculations for you for what that may be. But if you have any more than 180 days as a 9-month employee for sick leave or more than 300 hours of annual leave, you may want to talk to your HR department about taking some of that leave, taking what I refer to as mental health days in order to burn through the extras so you can use them without having to worry about paying for anything extra out of that. Earlier, I mentioned to you there are 5 ways to leave the retirement system. Here are the first set of them. Service. That's the one we've been talking about this whole time. You work until you reach an age and an amount of service credit, retire, start receiving that monthly check every month for the rest of your life. The next two are what we call nest egg retirements. These are drop, allows you to lock in a retirement benefit when you're eligible to go into drop. You continue to work for up to 36 months. During that time, we've locked in a retirement amount, a dollar amount, and every month we will be depositing that amount into your drop account while you earn your regular retirement or your regular employment check from your employer. The other program is called ILSB, Initial Lump Sum Benefit. This is an alternative to drop. It allows you to, instead of working while we make these deposits for your drop account, ILSB simply says, I'm quitting today. I'm taking out a lump sum of money today, and in doing so causes a permanent reduction in your monthly benefit. Now, we don't have time today to go over in detail drop or ILSB. So I'm simply going to tell you in more detail. We have several webinars that we've recorded, and they are available on trsl.org, where you can go in and watch the drop workshop, where it's Jerry and myself talking about the ins and outs of drop and the ins and outs of ILSB. The other programs, deferred and disability. Deferred means you have at least 5 years in our system, but you don't have the age requirement yet. You terminate employment, leaving your funds in the system. And then you wait until you become an inactive member. And based on your years of service, when you hit your age requirement, you come back to TRSL, not to collect or ask for a job application, but to start collecting your retirement benefit based on the years that you left in our system. The other program is called disability retirement. If you're no longer able to perform your job because of a medical condition, you can apply for disability. It must be approved by a state medical board. So there's forms that your doctor, you, your supervisor, and your employer will all fill out, and then it'll be processed. You have to have at least 5 years in the system. If you started, remember the date, Jer, for disability, 2011?
Need at least 10 years.
In 2011, you have to have at least 10 years of service in order to qualify for the disability program. Now, let's come back to drop a little. I want to give you just this will be the only joke I'll tell today. Jerry might have some other jokes for you. This is going to be the Cliff Notes version of that drop workshop that we do. Drop is that optional program that allows you to freeze that monthly benefit based on whatever formula we use during that when you first reach your eligibility, and we will make that amount deposited into your drop account every month that you're in drop. Maximum amount of time to be in drop is 36 months, 3 years. Minimum is a day. Why you'd want to do a day, I don't know. It's an optional program. You decide how long you're going to be in drop. By going into drop, you're not saying, I'm going to work 3 more years. You're simply saying, I'm going to work and make deposits in drop, but I'm ready to quit at any time. And I'm only going to be eligible to be in drop for up to 3 years. Now, the program, like I said, freezes the benefit. So we do that calculation of service credit times your salary average times the benefit factor, comes out to a dollar amount. That's what you lock in. That's the amount that we are depositing into your drop account. So it's like your retirement check if you would have retired, but instead we're depositing it into the drop account for you every month. And at the end of your drop participation, you retire, you start collecting a retirement check and this lump sum of money into your drop account, however many months that you've been in your drop. Now, the eligibility, we talk about 36 months of drop participation. You only get 36 months of participation from the day you are first eligible. That's what we call your drop window. It opens on the day you're first eligible and only stays open for 36 months. If you wait, which you can, it's an optional program, you decide to start whenever you want, but by starting, if you decide to wait, what may happen is you may lose part of that open window. You may cut it down in half or down to a couple of months, depending on how long you wait. Understand, you may go in only once to go in a drop, but you may choose to go in whenever you're eligible all the way up until the last time. But in doing so, you may lose out on some months of participation. Here are the eligibilities. For those of you that came in prior to January 1st, 2011, it's age 60 with 10 years, age 55 with 25, or any age with 30 years. All of those are your eligibilities. You'll notice there's an asterisk next to the 10-year one, and that means that one is going to be at the 2% factor. So just to be aware of that, that one will be at 2%. The other two will be at 2.5%. For those of you that came in on January 1st, 2011 till June 30th, 2015, it's age 60 with 5 years is your eligibility. That's only the one you get. You are eligible at that time. It opens at that time and closes 3 years, which means age 63 in that time frame. Or if you had 5 years at the end of the 3 years, so they had 8 years of service. The other program is anybody started on or after July 1st, 2015. We are now looking at age 62 with 5 years as your drop eligibility. Now, the other program, like I said, drop workshop, the webinar, it's available online. Check it out. I think Jerry did the recording on that one. Goes through all the ins and outs of drop. The ILSB program is very similar. It's the alternative to drop. The only difference is there is no window of participation. You go in whenever you're first eligible, or you may choose to wait 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, however long you want to. You may choose to wait if you want, and then you can go in anytime. There is no window of participation. Just know that the older you are, the bigger the reduction when you take that lump sum out. There's a math formula that happens, and it causes a permanent reduction in your monthly benefit based on how much you take out of your monthly benefit. So we looked at these, we looked at regular eligibility. I'm ready to retire, Cliff. What do I need to do? Well, this is Wendy. Wendy knows that in 6 months prior to her retirement date, she can submit her application to go into retirement, go into drop, go into ILSB. She can start this paperwork. Now, if we're doing any purchases or transfers, all of those have to be done before she turns in her retirement application. But 6 months prior, can you turn in your paperwork today and say, Cliff, today's my last day. I'm quitting. I can't take it anymore. Here's my retirement paperwork. Yes, yes, you can. Will you get paid immediately? No, no, you will not, because we have some other paperwork that we have to do on top of this, as well as the school has some paperwork to do. But to kick it off, we need to start filling out some paperwork. And that's going to start with a Form 11. Form 11 is a simple form that simply says, if I were filling it out today, my name is Cliff. I want to retire at the end of the school year with my spouse as my beneficiary. Please start the paperwork. It did not say which option I'm choosing. It did not say what bank it's going to. It didn't say how long I'm going to be in drop. It just said start the paperwork process. This form can be filled out in one of two ways. You can either go into Member Access, which is the secure logged in side of TRSL, and log in from there and apply for your initial retirement, that Form 11, or you can submit the application it's a paper form. It can be found on our website. You can print it out, fill it out, and then send it in to us, and we'll be able to take that as well. If you are retiring or doing ILSB, we also need 2 other forms. One of them is a Form 15D, and that is the direct deposit form. And the other one is called a 10W4. That is your federal withholdings form that we need. All of those are available on our website, again, at trsl.org/forms, I believe. If you're just doing drop, all you need to do is fill out the Form 11 because you're not retiring yet, so we don't need to know what bank or the tax withholdings. All right, so let's go back to that Form 11. I want to fill it out online. I don't feel like printing anything out. I don't have a printer. Like I have a printer in my house. I've not had ink in it in probably a year because I've not used it. Most everything is digital. So I want to fill out my Form 11 digitally. I go into my Member Access. In the My Retirement drop-down menu, I'm going to apply for service ILSB or drop. That's the Form 11. I'm going to click on that one, and it's going to show you this page. In this, it'll have a lot of your information already filled in. Your name, spouse or beneficiary's name, your address, all of those things will be plugged in. If you need to change anything, you're moving, changing it from your spouse to a child, a nephew, or whoever you want it to be, you can make those adjustments to fill that out. And then at the bottom of this form, there are two buttons. One says print, one says submit. You must press the submit button in order for us to receive it. If you press the print button, all it's going to do is going to send it over to that printer you have in the corner of your desk that doesn't have any ink in it. It's just going to sit there. We won't receive it. So you must press the submit button. Once you do, a little gray box pops up that says we received your submission in there. You'll also receive a notice from us 2 days after, or sorry, 2 weeks, not 2 days, 2 weeks after you've submitted your application, either the paper form or this online one. We'll send that to you in the mail on the address that you put on the form. It'll say, hey, Cliff, we've got your application to retire on this date with this person as your beneficiary. We're starting the paperwork process. If we're missing anything, and that is copies of birth certificates, divorce decrees, death certificates, birth certificates, social security cards, any of those things, in that letter, it'll mention those things. You can send us copies of those documents to help speed up that process. Once you've done that, after all that has been done, we will work on what's called an estimate affidavit. The estimate affidavit looks like this, except it will have all of the 8 options listed in the dollar amounts for you. In this form, you will sign or initial next to the option you want, sign it, have it notarized, and then send it back to us. This is a legal form, so there can't be any alterations. You can't change the beneficiary listed on there. Can't change the dollar amounts. If you make an error on this document, please contact us quickly so we may mail you a new copy of this legal document. We cannot accept alterations in any way. Once you've signed this, had it notarized and send it back to us, that is the last piece of paperwork that really comes to us about your retirement. Your school system may have some things that they want you to do, such as, turn in that Chromebook that's broken and sitting in the bottom of your desk, keys, the little vest for bus duty, whatever you have. They're going to ask you to do all those things. They're going to talk to you about your insurance. And if you want to keep it into your retirement, I'll talk a little bit about that in a second in there. And then they'll make some, last little bits for you for that. Now, once all that's done, when do you get paid for your retirement? We pay out benefits on the 1st of the month. It is a paper check mailed to your address that is listed on your application. By law, we have to mail out a paper check for this. Now, for regular retirement and ILSB, there is a 30-day waiting period. In other words, you must wait 30 days in order for us to send out your first retirement check. So if you retire on June 30th, we wait 30 days. That's July 30th. And then we pay on the 1st of the month, which means August 1st, you get your first payment from us. You may select any day you want as your retirement date. It can be the end of the month, the 1st of the month, the middle, a weekend, a weekday, a holiday, whatever day you want. Just understand that we have to wait 30 days from whatever day you've listed, and then we only cut checks on the 1st of the month. Once you have that first check, it's a paper check. It's awesome when you get that. You'll walk out to your mailbox in your bathrobe. You'll wave at the school bus as it rolls on by because you don't care about it anymore. I'm sure you do, but you don't care that you're not going there anymore. You'll get that paper check. Deposit it. As soon as you deposit that check, you are officially retired. Every payment after that will be a direct deposit to your bank. Now, I didn't mention anything about your sick leave, did I? Because we didn't know anything about it. We had to wait until you were terminated, till you ended your employment, because then you weren't able to use any of that sick leave. So now we can look at converting it into service credit. Normally, a few months into your retirement. And Jerry, what's a few months? 4 to 6 months into your retirement, you will get a notice from us that says, hey, Cliff, we've done a final calculation of your retirement benefit. We've added in your sick leave. If you want to add the extra that you have, here's what it costs. But your next payment will be the corrected amount minus if you want to make that purchase. And that next payment you receive will also have a retro payment, the difference that we owed you from this current new adjusted amount to what we owed you from those past checks. So it's one big lump sum paid to you in the next check. It's a great check. People always are pretty excited or nervous when they see that check. They're like, Cliff, I think you guys messed up. This has got there's a comma in there like it's supposed to, but it's a bigger amount. Too many digits. There's too many numbers in there. It's okay. It's a retro payment. It's a one-time payment to pay out that extra benefit to you. After this check, it will go back to normal and you'll see every check the same every month for the rest of your life. Let's talk about your tax liabilities. For your retirement, you are state tax exempt, provided you continue to live here in the great state of Louisiana. You move out of the state for any reason, you want to be closer to grandkids, better weather, annual passes at Disney World, whatever it may be. If you move out of the state, you lose the state tax exemption, which means you will owe state taxes on your payments that you receive. Now, you will pay federal taxes. That'll be based on whatever you're claiming, married in one, single in zero, whatever you put down, we put on there, or we withhold for your federal taxes. For community property, Louisiana is a community property state, meaning spouses or former spouses may be entitled to portions of your benefit. And that benefit may be your regular retirement, a refund, drop or ILSB money, even death benefits, they may be entitled to some. Now, we do not automatically make this happen. A court system ultimately decides on how much the funds should be considered community property and how much the former spouse would be entitled to. We will not automatically split this check until we have that court documentation showing that they were entitled to that portion. So just be aware of that. It's not an automatic thing. We have to have the documentation to show that he or she is entitled to any of your money. Now for Social Security. Normally, excuse me, we would recommend contact, and we still do. I'm going to say it now. We recommend talking to, we recommend talking to the Social Security office in your area, going to ssa.gov, talking to them about the Social Security benefits, excuse me, and the offsets that may happen because of getting Social Security and TRSL. Louisiana doesn't pay into Social Security for the majority of our public employees, but you still may be eligible for Social Security through other employment. In other words, I myself worked in the private sector for over 25 years before I came here. Some of you may have a spouse who have worked in the private sector and you're eligible for spousal Social Security benefits. Now, Social Security benefits, whichever one you're eligible for, also determines which offset you may be subject to. In no way will TRSL's retirement check be reduced or eliminated. It is Social Security that is reducing because you're getting a check from TRSL. The two types of benefits that Social Security offered, one is called a spouse or widower's benefit. That means you didn't earn your own quarters, or they're now called credits, but your spouse did. You would be eligible or could be eligible to receive a benefit from Social Security based on those that spouse earning their quarters, or now called credits. The other one is like myself. I worked in the private sector. I paid into Social Security. That means I'm eligible to receive an earned benefit of Social Security. And those would be my eligibilities. But once I start receiving a retirement check from TRSL, the federal government says I am now subject to one of two offsets. As a spousal or widower's benefit, I would be subject to GPO, government pension offset. That is a reduction in Social Security benefits based on 2/3 of whatever you're getting from TRSL. Doesn't change TRSL's check. It's just using it for math. 2/3 of it would be subtracted from your Social Security check. It could completely zero out the Social Security check you would be getting as a spousal benefit from Social Security. The other program, windfall elimination provision, means I've earned my own credits. Because I'm eligible, but now that I'm getting a check from TRSL, I'm subject to an offset program. It is a calculation, a formula that is used to reduce the benefit. It cannot zero out your Social Security check, but it can reduce it based on their formula. This formula also changes every year based on incomes, but it does not completely eliminate, or will not completely eliminate, a Social Security benefit. Things you need to ask Social Security. You can ask us, but we're just going to direct you back to them. When or what age can I start receiving a full Social Security benefit, or can I take an early Social Security benefit? And what will those amounts be? Is there an earnings limit? Can I collect Social Security now while I'm working under a job that's covered by TRSL? Do I qualify for any exceptions? In other words, eliminations of WEP or GPO calculations on my Social Security. But if it does apply to me, WEP or GPO, which one? I don't know which one it does. Can you tell me? And how much will it be? These are things you want to ask them about the Social Security offsets. It is possible to draw a Social Security check and be a teacher in the classroom. They're the ones who are going to be able to tell you, or an admin person or whoever, whatever else your job is at the school. It'll be Social Security's job to tell you how much you're eligible to earn at that time. In no way is your TRSL benefit going to be reduced. It is the Social Security check that is reduced because you're getting a check from TRSL. We'd recommend contacting your local Social Security office, going to ssa.gov. You can call the number 1-800-772-1213 and contact the Social Security office, and they'll be able to walk you through doing a calculation. I'd recommend getting an estimate from us and then going and contacting them to set up an appointment to them about WEP and GPO at your nearest office. The 800 number you see up here is the national number. You always want to call the local number if you can. Now, as we get ready to wrap up, I know Jerry's been in the background answering a couple of questions. I've seen them pop up and then they quickly disappear because Jerry answers them for us. Let me go over some summary things. If you have any other questions, go ahead and start writing them into the question box now so we can get to them before we get too far into the end of our workshop here. TRSL is a defined benefit, which means it's a monthly benefit every month for the rest of your life when you become eligible to retire. You have to meet those eligibilities based on when you started your employment. You can go back in and look and see that for those eligibilities for you. If you are looking at drop, knowing your exact date, you'll need to contact either your HR department or you can contact TRSL and we can give you the date of when your drop window opens and you're eligible for your drop participation. We always say this, anything drop, retirement, ILSB, whatever it is, coordinate this with your employer, but you can start this process as early as 6 months prior to the actual date. Things you can do now, even if you're like, Cliff, all right, we've done this workshop. None of this is for me. I'm not there yet. I've got like 5, 10 more years. Great. Things you can do now, though, to help speed this process up. Make sure we have copies. These are copies, not the originals, of Social Security cards, birth certificates, divorce decrees, community property settlements, death certificates, all of those things. We need copies of those documents. And you can send those over to us at trsl.org. You can actually send them to the webmaster at web.master@trsl.org. Email those over to us if you like. You can also do your member access. In member access, you can go in and look at your estimates. You can also change your address, change your email address, look at your drop account if you're in drop. All these different things are available. The big thing in there is the calculator. It is a great tool. I'm not going to lie to you. I had a kind of a bad day on Monday. I did my estimate just to see what my benefit would be. I realized I can't live on that, so I finished the rest of my work that day. I know when my retirement date is. This helps you get a good understanding of those numbers to see all of those 8 options based on the beneficiary you've selected, going in and typing in that information. All of that is available on the calculator at trsl.org and in your member access. Now, things you can find on TRSL besides the member access. Those brochures that Jerry's been dropping into the chat there, all the forms, the newsletters, our webinars, the webinar like this one, all the other ones we've done are available on the website. And you can go and grab those and watch them at any time for that. Now, I think it's time we're going to go and throw it over to Jerry real quick to see if we have any questions.
We do have a few questions in the question box. Cliff, I'll give you a minute to get your bearings on answering those 3 in there. Also, if you could get into a little bit more details about sick leave, we had a few questions about that. But in the meantime, while you're getting your bearing,
Okay, go ahead.
you know I'm gonna do it.
I'm good.
I'm doing it.
I could say I'm
Nope,
good and we jump straight in the questions,
nope,
but I know
nope.
you want to.
Yes, yes. Okay, I've got a
So
quick one now. Got
Jerry
one
is
now.
notorious,
Mm-hmm,
I would almost say infamous or
mm-hmm,
infamous if you want
mm-hmm,
to,
mm-hmm.
for our jokes during our workshop. So
Yep,
go ahead, Jerry. I will
yep.
let you two. You get
Okay,
two.
two. Okay, I get one now and I'll save
All
one
right,
for
there
later.
you go.
Okay. What is James Bond's favorite autumn drink?
What is James Bond's favorite autumn drink?
Pumpkin spice latte. Yeah, it's good stuff over here. All right, so I've solved enough for you to read questions. So there's three I left for you to answer to the group.
All right. How do I know how many years of service credit do I have? Well, you can go into your member access. In your member access, under the summary page, which is the first page you're going to come up to, it shows as of the end of the school year, and for us, the end of the school year is 6/30/2024. It will show how many years of service credit you have as of that date. And then if you need to know like what you have today, you can contact TRSL and we can do that calculation for you. Let's see, what else did we have here? Um, I'm aware that I must provide, she wrote certified copies of birth certificates and social security cards when I retire. They actually can just be copies. You can actually just run over to the copy machine, grab yours, your beneficiaries, whoever's, make copies of those documents and send them over to us. We will even take photographs. If you want to lay them out on the table, take a photograph of those and email us copies of those, the photographs. We will take that. I tell this to everyone, and Jerry knows this. If you take photographs, we simply ask that you crop the photographs. We do not need copies or photographs of your desk or your feet in the photos. Just send us just the documents that we need. And you can send us over just Xerox or, man, that's showing my age, photocopies or photographs, like digital pictures of those documents or PDFs of those documents if you so choose. How does ILSB, or we're going to say or drop, play into WEP or GPO calculations? It is counted as income from the retirement system. So the Social Security office, they'll go through and look at that ILSB amount that you take up front, and then they carry it over and do the calculation to show you what type of benefit you're going to be. You can't get out of or get a lower amount for GPO, the Social Security offset, by taking out a lump sum up front. It still would be counted against you towards the GPO calculation. Okay, someone asks, I am 2 years away from my 20-year retirement date. What are my options if I leave at the end of the current school year? I am 57 years old. So if you are short of the 20 years at any age requirement, and you're 57, you're not eligible to retire. Say you've 19 years in the system. You're not eligible to retire. You'd have to wait either until age 60 or 62, depending on when you started, and do deferred retirement. In other words, the funds would just sit here in the system, waiting until you met the age requirement of age 60 or 62, and then you come back and fill out your paperwork to retire. Is that the last one? All right, if that's the last, oh, I can't believe I'm saying this. If that's the last one, Jerry, do you have one more joke for us?
I do. It's a new one, Cliff. What do you get if you drop a pumpkin?
What?
Squash. You don't have to be a dad to tell dad jokes. They're usually better when they're focused on Thanksgiving and pies. We'll get together in a couple weeks for that. Then I'll have some for
Oh,
Christmas
thank you. That's
time.
a great reminder. We
Yes.
do have, if you want to learn more about drop, we do have a live Thanksgiving Day drop special.
Tuesday of Thanksgiving week.
Tuesday of Thanksgiving week, not Thanksgiving Day. Oh no, I'm sorry. Oh, no, I will not be here Thanksgiving Day, and I'm sure you won't want to work,
Let's be
sit at a
clear,
workshop.
I'm hosting brunch and dinner on Thanksgiving
Yeah,
Day,
no.
not a drop workshop. On Tuesday
Tuesday,
at 2 PM.
thank you. Tuesday, 2 p.m. We are doing a Turkey Day uh, drop workshop. We're going to cover all the ins and outs. We'll do it there. There will also be maybe some festive decorations and maybe some costumes. You never know. I don't know. There might be a hat or two. There also, I know, will be Thanksgiving Day dad jokes throughout that. So with that, I want to tell you guys, thank you so much for being here with us today. We always look forward to doing these workshops. If you guys have any other questions, we want to make sure we answer all those. Please contact us. Our office is now closed. Normally from 8 to 4:30, you can call our number 225-925-6446 or 1-877-275-8775. Monday through Friday from 8 to 4:30, you'll be able to call in and ask those questions you may have, or you can go to asktrsl.org, type in your questions there, send them over to our lovely webmasters, and they'll be able to answer those questions. We'd also like to point out, yes, Jerry's camera is off. Jerry, I don't even know, Jerry didn't even have a camera today on there, which is okay. She looks fantastic, but she's not on camera today. Just me, I know. We also ask that you check us out on our social medias. Our YouTube channel has tons of great videos for you to watch about your retirement. Our Facebook page is full of information about TRSL and our workshops, as well as X, formerly known as Twitter. You can also follow us on there. We'd love to have you on there. And we have a LinkedIn page if you want to tie into that as well. Again, thank you guys so much for coming out. If you have anything else, please let us know. And we look forward to seeing you again. We will be 2 Tuesdays, 2 weeks. Sorry, 2 weeks? Thanksgiving's that soon. Wow. Well, that is 2 weeks. No? 3 weeks. Man, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. The 26th, Tuesday, 2 o'clock. Be there to learn more about drop. Thank you guys so much for coming, and we will see you then. Bye.